One man crossed the Alps and brought Rome to its knees. The Alps, 218 BC. Exile. Betrayal. Poison. Yet his ghost would haunt Rome forever. Hannibal Barca. Terror of Rome. The Battle of Zama was more than a military victory. It was the turning point that ensured Rome's survival and dominance. With Hannibal defeated, Carthage was forced into submission, stripped of its power, and bound by crippling terms. Rome, once the underdog in the Mediterranean, now stood unchallenged. For Hannibal, it was the cruelest irony. His genius had nearly destroyed Rome, but at Zama, he had met a Roman who had learned from him, adapted his methods, and ultimately surpassed him. For Scipio, Zama was his crowning triumph. He would forever be remembered as Scipio Africanus, the man who brought Carthage to its knees. And for Rome, the battle became a symbol of immortality. Rome had faced annihilation, but it endured. The Republic emerged stronger, more determined, and destined to build an empire that would outlast even the memory of Hannibal Barca. Engage the audience. If you had stood on the battlefield of Zama, which commander would you have trusted with your life, Hannibal or Scipio? Do you think Scipio truly outmatched Hannibal? Or was Carthage already doomed before the battle began? When Hannibal returned to Carthage after the Second Punic War, he was not a broken man. Defeat had scarred him, yes, but it had also hardened his resolve. He now exchanged the battlefield for the Senate floor, proving that the general who once brought Rome to its knees could also wield words and reforms as weapons. Carthage, humiliated by Rome's terms, was drowning under a mountain of debt. Corruption ran deep, with aristocrats enriching themselves while the city struggled to survive. Hannibal launched a bold campaign of reform. He attacked the entrenched oligarchy, cut through graft, and restructured the tax system so that Carthage paid its reparations to Rome swiftly. His policies restored not only stability but pride, showing once again that his vision for his people extended beyond the battlefield. But Rome had long memories. Even in peace, Hannibal's very presence was seen as a threat. To the senators across the Mediterranean, he remained the ghost of Cannae, the man who had nearly destroyed them. The Roman Senate demanded his removal, pressing Carthage to deliver him up. Faced with betrayal by his own city, Hannibal chose exile over surrender. Thus began his long wandering through the courts of the Hellenistic world. He found asylum with Antiochus III of the Seleucid Empire, where he offered counsel in the looming war against Rome. But once again, fate denied him a decisive role. His advice went unheeded, and Antiochus suffered defeat at Magnesia in 190 BC. Hannibal, ever restless, moved on. From there, he appeared in Crete, in Bithynia, and even among the shadowy intrigues of Eastern courts, always pursued by Rome's relentless diplomats. In each kingdom, he offered his genius to those who opposed Roman power, always plotting one more chance to strike at his old enemy. Yet no king ever gave him the freedom or the army he desired. In the end, Hannibal's life became a testament not only to glory, but to loss. Once the terror of Rome, he died far from home, an exile in Bithynia around 183 BC. According to legend, when Roman agents came once again to demand his surrender, he drank poison, declaring that he would not live to fall into the hands of his enemies. And so, Hannibal's story closed with the same defiance that had defined his life. Though he lost his war, he refused to let Rome dictate his death. His ghost would forever haunt the republic he had nearly destroyed. Comment, questions. Do you think Hannibal's political reforms in Carthage prove that he could have been as great a statesman as he was a general? If Hannibal had been given full command by Antiochus III, do you believe he could have defeated Rome in the east? Hannibal's life ended not on the battlefield, but in exile, far from the city that had once entrusted him with its fate. Hounded relentlessly by Rome, he became a wanderer, serving as an advisor to foreign kings, always one step ahead of Roman agents, determined to bring him to chains. But when capture finally became inevitable, Hannibal chose his own fate. He swallowed poison, leaving behind a message that has echoed through the centuries. Let us relieve the Romans from their continual dread, since they think it tries their patience too much to wait for the death of a hated old man. It was a tragic yet defiant end. Even in death, Hannibal denied Rome the satisfaction of parading him as a trophy. Instead, he preserved his dignity, ensuring that his legacy would never be that of a captive, but of a warrior who shaped history. Though Carthage was destroyed, Hannibal's name lived on in Roman memory as both a nightmare and a teacher. Roman generals studied his campaigns meticulously, adapting his strategies and embedding his lessons into the very fabric of Roman military doctrine. In many ways, Rome's later dominance was built upon the foundations laid by its greatest enemy. Yet the haunting question remains: what if Hannibal had triumphed at Zama? Could the Mediterranean world have become Punic rather than Roman? Would Western civilization, law, and empire have borne the stamp of Carthage instead? History cannot provide us with the answer, but Hannibal's struggle, his genius, his audacity, and his tragic fate reminds us how fragile the paths of empires truly are. So, if you've walked with Hannibal across the Alps, through victory and defeat, and now into the silence of his final hour, ask yourself, if Hannibal had won, how different would our world be today? Like this video, so more history lovers can join the journey. Share it with someone who admires the great minds of the past. And don't forget to subscribe, because the echoes of history are never truly silent.